CHEK Live and the CHEK Institute and the CHEK Academy, and this video is all about celebrities that smoke tobacco and what I think the difference is between Paul and other celebrities, like really big names, famous names. Like if you look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was training in Wanstead Park in London in the 1970s and worked with Wag Bennett. Wag Bennett made Arnold world famous. If it wasn't for Wag, Arnold would not be a known name. But saying that, with Arnold's determination, it probably would have happened anyway, to a certain degree. But it was Wag's influence that helped him, get to know the big bodybuilders in the States. Because all the American bodybuilders would come to London for different shows and stay at Wag Bennett's church. The gym was in a church, so it's the first ever spirit gym, really. And he had accommodation above the church where people used to, where the big elite bodybuilders of the 1970s, the 80s, 90s, even Dorian Yates went to Wag for advice and help to get his name out there. I know, because when I was training there in the 90s, there was a photo shoot with Dorian Yates there, and then there was a big show. Wag was really excited and said all these big guys are coming to stay. And remember that Wag was the first man in Great Britain to bench press 500 pounds. That's what he was well known for. And obviously having the muscle mecca going to stay at his for competitions and shows, and he would influence them to go to America and help their career to get going. So we're going back to the tobacco thing. So if you look at Arnold, he admitted to taking steroids at an early age. They're probably saying he started taking steroids about the age of 15 or 16, and he wanted to train so much that he broke into a gym, and the guy that knew he broke into the gym was so shocked by it that he said, look, you can use it for free. This is in the unauthorized autobiography of Arnold that I've got here, which is very, very difficult to get, and it's got all the stuff about his Dynabol taking, Sustanon and other drugs that he took in which to get his gargantuan size. So Arnold was smoking cigars probably in the 80s and 90s. But the difference between Arnold and Paul Chek is that Arnold wasn't selling programs, wasn't selling health to regular personal trainers, physios, osteopaths, and maybe some doctors. So this is my whole critique on why I think it's totally wrong. So then you got Sylvester Stallone, got caught with growth hormone when he went to Australia, but obviously he'd been dabbling in, drugs on a regular basis in which to keep his muscle mass and his size. Even for the Rocky movie, Dolph Lundgren come out and said that he thinks that the steroids he took during the Rocky movies to get that size for the Russian part, he was taking steroids in, and he took them for longer than 6 years, which is really sad. But you don't see Dolph Lundgren smoking cigars, but you do see Sylvester Stallone and Arnold both doing it. Then on top of that, you got Joe Rogan. So Joe Rogan smoking cannabis, whatever it is, because obviously in the world of, one, podcasting, and two, the world of jiu-jitsu, a lot of these guys are way out there, as in they're thinking in a much different way. And with Joe Rogan smoking tobacco as well as cannabis on his show, a lot more people will relate to him more and watch his YouTube more. But again, he's not selling health and fitness programs and not influencing maybe the younger generation. And this is what I want to point out about Paul when he's smoking tobacco. One, he's been addicted to drugs for years and years, because I heard about it in Lancashire when he said, oh, don't be surprised if you see me in a club taking ecstasy. But then he said that ecstasy was the most damaging drug to the brain. So why would you say that and then promote it? It didn't make sense to me. And this is a bit I find really annoying, is that if you're 18, 19 and 20 and you're trying to get off of drugs like I was, you all of a sudden realise that it's involved in the music, it's involved with people, it's involved in adverts, it's fucking everywhere. So when you're trying to quit and trying to stop, it's a real hard thing to do, if that makes sense, because of the influence is everywhere. The same if you're a smoker and you quit smoking, you're walking down the street, you can smell tobacco from where people are smoking cigarettes. And then when you go out socially, there's more people, smoking cigarettes. So it makes it even harder. So my analogy, or the reason why I hate it when Paul does it publicly, is that there may be a young guy or a young girl out there in their teens that are trying to stop. All of a sudden they stumble upon the CHEK Institute and this really holistic way of training and exercise, and they see this guy that's the head of the institute smoking drugs and damaging his own lungs. Just because he does it in a vape thing doesn't mean it's not damaging. The same as if you take an anodine tablet or any headache pill, it can still be damaging to the gut. The same as if you take drugs that bring down inflammation. If you've got pain in the body from inflammation from an injury, this can cause damage in the gut as well. So just because the gurus or people say it's healthy in certain books doesn't mean it's good for your body. And my other analogy to that is that when you're born, you're not born with any extension on you. You're not born with a tobacco pipe, you're not born with a tobacco bag, and you're certainly not born with a box of pills. Can you see my point? So we come into the world naked. So as we get older, we start, like I did, experiment when I was very young. But then something said to me, look, it looks like this is wrong. This is going to take you down the wrong road. And if you look at the bigger percentage of people from the 80s and 90s period of the rave culture are now got drug problems. They're going to drug rehab. And this is simply because, the rave music and the rave culture, if you wasn't off your nut on a pill, you wasn't in the crowd. Okay? Now, when I was a bouncer at Heaven nightclub, and I was there for 2 years, I used to be employed to go undercover. So I would go undercover as a person that was off my nut, but I was totally natural. And I'd get on the radio, something's happening over there, something's happening over there, because they have to have that in which to catch people out. Does that make sense? So I know that if you're out and about, say you're going to a club and somebody says, oh, this pill's brilliant, you pay 15 quid or whatever it is for it, you pop it, you get a buzz from it, but it might just be chalk or sugar. Because the effect of the placebo effect is so high and so powerful. That's why some people can take nothing at all but convince themselves to get healthy. Does that make sense? So the way I look at with Paul's response, if he wasn't selling scientific or scientific back and IMS1, IMS2 and all these things to do with getting healthy, fit, strong and living a dream and not having addictions and not fighting back and all this bullshit, then if he wasn't doing all that at all, and I saw him smoking drugs in a video, it wouldn't even bother me. I just think, that's him, that's what he likes to do. But because he's in the position of influence, he's influencing all these young guys. My uncle's son had a drug problem. He was watching Paul Chek. I went, you need to stop fucking watching it. Because it's reinforcing that it's okay to do it. And remember, to become a criminal, like a really bad criminal, only takes 300 repetitions of you thinking to do criminality for it to become normal in your brain. To go and rob people, to steal from people. Does that make sense? And this is the same with the drug culture. It only takes a couple of, repetitions, like 300 to 500 repetitions for it to become in your brain, where, oh, drugs are fine, they're all right, until you get sick and you're dying or you're having a heart attack because you snorted some coke in the toilets. Not a friend, but an associate I know was really into cocaine, but it started off from cannabis, then got into cocaine, then was doing pills, then doing cocaine, done it on his birthday and dropped down dead. Dropped down dead on his birthday. And this is what really winds me up about Paul Chek, that he can't see the responsibility of what he's putting out there. But he still wants you to buy IMS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 27 courses for him to make, an estimated more than £32 million. So I see it as a total contradiction to health vitality. Does that make sense? And like I said, if you do it in your private time, that's your private time. Nobody knows about that. But when you're displaying it on the internet, where we might get, like yesterday, I had 10,000 views to my YouTube channel. But I wasn't smoking drugs, and I never would anyway. But do you see my point? You're perceiving that you're a drug addict, and you're perceiving to the younger generation, oh, it's okay to do. It's normal. Oh, they've legalised it. It's normal. But it doesn't mean that people are still not dying from it. It doesn't mean that people are not getting psychosis from it. It doesn't mean that people are not getting schizophrenia and other problems from it. Can you see my point now? That if you're an influencer, you need to be very, very careful what you put out there. The same for me. I have to be careful. But I don't do anything like that. I eat chocolate, have a packet of crisps. Do you know what I mean? I eat organically, I work out. I don't even drink. I don't drink. I don't enjoy it. It's not me. I hate that hangover that I used to get when I was in my teens and stuff, If I have a drink, it's like once in a blue moon or once in a shooting star. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. But remember, Arnold smokes it. Joe Rogan smokes a concoction of stuff. And then you've got Sylvester Stallone. But Sylvester Stallone, what they all have in common is that they're multi-millionaires. For one. But two, Joe Rogan, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone are not in a position where they're trying to sell a health fucking program. How can you sell health and be a drug addict? You can't. It's just impossible. And most people can see it. And now I'm pointing it out, going public, blah, blah, blah. People are realising and waking up. Imagine if you're an Olympic sprinter and your coach hears that you're smoking tobacco or smoking cannabis in the evening to relax yourself. Your coach would go absolutely mad if he's a good coach. If he's a shit coach, he'll just let you do it. But if you was my client, I'd be trying to say, go and get help before it causes more and more damage. They're saying, even the scientists are saying, it's so detrimental to your memory parts of the brain. So why would you do it? I just don't get it. He's now nearly 65, old age pensioner. Even more of an important time to keep your brain functional than rather damage the brain from doing that stuff. It does damage the brain. It doesn't help the brain. It's all scientifically proven. 1000%. Why do you think Joe Rogan has now stopped drinking? Because he knows the damage it does to the body. And remember that if you've been abusing your body for 30 years, it's going to take another 30 years to change that. It's not simple. They say I think it's about 10 years or something, or 7 years after you stop smoking, that your lungs will go back to normal. He's been doing it over 13 years. He's been doing it since maybe 2003. Imagine all that damage he's done. And then the analogy, I want to talk about the rock lifting. So the rock lifting is a great feat of strength, and I've seen him go on step ladders really high. Yeah, that's amazing, but it's fucking boring. It's not exciting, is it? It's not like doing a 1 rep max deadlift or doing the ultimate amount of weight curling or doing a squat push press, which he's done before. That's more exciting. I think seeing him just lift rocks is a bit boring. Yes, it's really hard to do, I get that, and he's showing great feats of strength for what he's lifting, but it's not what the general people want to see, if that makes any sense. That's the way I look at it anyway. See one rock stack, you've seen them all, haven't you? But if you see him do a deadlift a different way, or doing a Bulgarian split squat, or doing a, tornado ball, he ain't done that for years and years. That'll be interesting to see, wouldn't it? He's now 60, nearly 65. 65 on the 24th of this month, I think. Old age pensioner doing a tornado ball. Wow, that'll be really explosive. He'll get fucking millions of views for that. But has he got the lung capacity to do it anymore? Who knows? So I'll leave that with you. Thank you for liking. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for my 10,000 views yesterday. YouTube has now said on the 24th that any clicks or hits that you get to videos will all be counted, whereas before they was fucking, you get 1,000 views, they'd cut 500 off. What a joke. But it's good that they're correcting it, so hopefully views, likes and subscribers will skyrocket. My YouTube channel has definitely exploded over the last 90 days, but I've been doing it since 2008. I've done over 3,500 videos now, and the goal is to get to 5,000. Then that way I know anybody on YouTube can't beat me with YouTube content. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, please like, please share, and have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.